Hello and welcome to Visionary. I'm Vishal Kapur, textile designer and founder of Atelier Intelligence. After more than 2 decades of designing products, collections, and luxury interiors, I realized that the biggest challenge isn't generating beautiful images. It's translating a design vision into something that is coherent, manufacturable, and truly aligned with a client's brief. That's exactly why Visionary was created. Rather than behaving like a generic AI image generator, Visionary works as an intelligent creative partner. It understands workflows, materials, style languages, spatial context, and design intent before creating concepts. Whether you're an architect, an interior designer, a furniture manufacturer, or a home decor professional, the platform is designed to help you move from inspiration to refined design concepts with far greater speed, consistency, and creative confidence. Let's begin by exploring the first stage of the workflow. As you enter the workspace, you'll notice that every project follows a structured creative process. Instead of asking AI to guess what you want from a single prompt, Visionary guides you through a sequence of design decisions that gradually build an intelligent design brief. Across the top of the interface, you'll see the workflow stages: workflow, context, style, materials, color, lighting. Each step contributes important information that helps the AI understand not only what you're designing, but how it should think like a designer throughout the process. This first decision determines how the AI approaches the project. There are two distinct workflows. The first is inspiration driven. Choose this when you're beginning with mood boards, Pinterest references, sketches, material samples, magazine clippings, or any visual inspiration. Visionary analyzes the visual language of these references and synthesizes them into fresh concepts instead of simply copying existing designs. The second workflow is Real Space Co-Designer. This mode is intended for live interior projects. Upload photographs of an existing room, and Visionary analyzes the actual architectural space, proportions, lighting, and layout before integrating new furniture or interior elements into the environment. Think of it as designing directly inside a real project rather than on a blank canvas. Now that we've defined the type of product we want to create, the next step is equally important. Every successful interior product responds to its surroundings. A room divider designed for a luxury dining room should feel completely different from one intended for a boutique hotel lobby, a contemporary office, or a residential bedroom. This stage gives Visionary that architectural context. At the top of the interface, you'll notice we've progressed from workflow to context. Think of this as defining the environment before beginning the design process. Rather than designing an object in isolation, Visionary understands where the product will ultimately live. The first choice is selecting your project category, whether you're working on a residential home, hospitality project, commercial interior, retail environment, or a public space. Each setting follows its own design language. Once the project type has been selected, you'll define the exact space. Here, you'll find a comprehensive collection of room types: living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, kitchens, bathrooms, home offices, and many more. Each room carries its own functional requirements and emotional character. In this example, we've selected the dining room. By choosing the correct environment, Visionary adjusts its understanding of scale, circulation, functionality, user behavior, and aesthetic expectations. This isn't simply a label. Selecting the spatial context fundamentally changes the way Visionary approaches the design. A dining room divider may encourage visual openness while subtly defining space. The same divider designed for a hotel lobby may become a dramatic sculptural statement. And within an office, the emphasis may shift toward privacy, acoustics, and modular flexibility. If you're working within a large design library, the integrated search allows you to quickly locate the exact room or environment you're designing for, making navigation effortless even on complex commercial projects. By understanding context first, the AI generates solutions that are both visually refined and practically relevant. As we continue building the project, notice how the Live Studio synopsis on the right evolves in real time. The workflow mode remains unchanged. The selected category continues to be room divider. Now we've added the spatial context of dining room. Each decision enriches the creative brief, giving visionary a deeper understanding of your design intent before a single image is generated. You'll also notice that your uploaded inspiration images now appear within the studio synopsis. These references remain available throughout the workflow, allowing every subsequent design decision to stay connected to your original creative direction. At this point, Visionary understands not only what we're designing, but also where it belongs. In the next stage, we'll begin defining the visual identity of the project by selecting the design style that best represents the desired aesthetic. Now that we've established the product category and the architectural environment, it's time to define the personality of the design. Every great interior tells a story. That story is expressed through its style. Rather than relying on vague prompt descriptions, Visionary allows you to establish a clear design language before the creative process begins. At the top of the workspace, we've now progressed into the style stage. This is where the project begins to develop its visual identity. The selected style influences the proportions, detailing, ornamentation, materials, textures, forms, and overall design vocabulary that Visionary will use throughout the generation process. In this example, you'll see several available style directions: modern, minimalist, art deco, industrial loft, Scandinavian, mid-century modern. Each style represents decades of architectural evolution, material philosophy, and craftsmanship tradition. S. Choosing one isn't simply changing the appearance, it's changing the design language that guides every creative decision. For this project, we've selected Art Deco. Art Deco is known for its bold geometry, refined symmetry, luxurious materials, dramatic proportions, and sophisticated detailing. When Visionary adopts this style, it doesn't merely imitate Art Deco aesthetics. It interprets the defining principles of the movement and applies them intelligently to the product being designed. The result feels inspired by the style while remaining original and project specific. Professional designers rarely begin with colors or materials. They begin with a design philosophy. Once the style has been established, every subsequent decision becomes more coherent. Material selection becomes intentional. Color palettes become harmonious. Lighting feels authentic. And the final concepts maintain a strong visual consistency from beginning to end. At this point, Visionary understands the product we are creating, the environment in which it belongs, and the design language that defines its character. R. The next step takes us even deeper into the creative process as we begin selecting the material palette that will bring this concept to life. We've now reached the material palette stage. Rather than relying on generic prompts like luxury materials or premium finishes, Visionary lets you curate a precise palette that becomes part of the project's creative DNA. These selections influence texture, surface quality, reflections, construction details, and overall visual authenticity. One of the most valuable features on this screen is the AI Atelier Tactical Director. As your project evolves, the AI continuously evaluates all of the design decisions made so far. Based on your selected style, spatial context, and product category, it recommends material combinations that are likely to produce the strongest design outcome. Think of it as collaborating with an experienced material consultant throughout your design process. You'll notice suggested material tags appearing beneath the recommendation. These act as intelligent shortcuts. Instead of manually exploring hundreds of options, Visionary proposes combinations that naturally complement your project's design language. Of course, these recommendations are only a starting point. You're always free to customize the palette according to your own creative vision. Below, you'll find a comprehensive material library organized into categories: natural stone, timber, quartzite, granite, and many more. Each category has been structured to support professional design workflows while remaining quick and intuitive to navigate. In this example, we are selecting materials that complement an Art Deco room divider designed for a luxury dining room. Rather than combining finishes at random, Visionary understands that every material contributes to the overall visual narrative. A walnut veneer communicates warmth. Brass introduces elegance. Glass creates depth. Together, these selections define the personality of the finished piece. In traditional AI image generation, materials are often treated as decorative keywords. Visionary approaches them differently. Materials become active design parameters. They influence form, proportion, detailing, surface behavior, and even the way light interacts with the finished concept. This creates results that feel significantly more believable and far closer to real world design practice. In the material palette, there is one surprise for designers, especially inclined to use textiles in their creations. When you choose the textile category in the materials palette subsection, a new drop down menu opens up giving you multiple choices of textile types and forms you can choose to be incorporated in your masterpiece. In case the list doesn't have what you are looking for, you can upload visual references of exact fabric, if any, or textures, patterns, fabric construction technique samplers, embroidery swatches, material forms, etc. Visionary then considers these as its guiding lines for the textile component of your creative concept. It then creates a professionally visualized installation within the selected interior setting. The output can then be refined further to develop a highly detailed, presentation-ready design for the client. With our materials now carefully selected, the next layer of the creative process is color. We've now reached the curated color story stage. Instead of selecting isolated colors, Visionary works with complete color narratives. Professional designers rarely think in terms of individual shades. They think in harmonious palettes that balance contrast, texture, lighting, and materiality. Visionary gives you two approaches. The first is curated stories. These are professionally assembled palettes designed around established interior design principles. The second option is extract from mood board. Here, Visionary intelligently analyzes your uploaded inspiration images and extracts the dominant color relationships automatically. This is particularly useful when you're working from client references or existing mood boards and want the generated concepts to remain visually consistent. You'll notice a library of thoughtfully named color collections: warm, terracotta and sand, ochre and smoked oak, emerald and brushed brass, and more. Each palette has been designed to evoke a distinctive mood and visual experience while remaining compatible with premium interior materials. Color isn't applied at the end of the design process. It influences every creative decision that follows. It affects how materials are perceived, how light reflects across surfaces, how forms are visually separated, and ultimately, how people emotionally respond to a space. By establishing the palette before image generation, Visionary creates concepts that feel intentional rather than visually assembled. Many AI image generators simply accept color names inside a prompt. Visionary treats color as a design system. The selected palette influences balance, hierarchy, focal points, visual rhythm, and harmony across the entire composition. The result is imagery that feels far more believable, cohesive, and professionally designed. At this stage, we've defined nearly every creative aspect of the project. The final ingredient is light. In the next step, we'll establish the lighting environment that brings every texture, material, color, and architectural detail to life. We've now arrived at the lighting and ambience stage. Rather than adding lighting as a simple rendering effect, Visionary treats illumination as a fundamental design parameter. The selected lighting profile influences shadows, reflections, texture visibility, depth, mood, and the overall visual narrative of every generated concept. Visionary includes a carefully curated collection of professional lighting environments, each designed to support a different emotional experience. In this project, you'll notice several lighting environments available: Scandinavian Aura, Golden Hour Glow, Dramatic Chiaroscuro, Diffuse Studio, and more. Each preset has been developed to recreate the quality of light commonly used in luxury interior photography and architectural visualization. For this project, we've selected Diffuse Studio. This lighting environment produces soft, evenly distributed illumination with controlled shadows and balanced highlights. It's particularly effective when showcasing premium materials, refined craftsmanship, and subtle surface textures without introducing unnecessary visual distractions. The result is a clean, sophisticated presentation that allows the design itself to remain the focal point. Welcome to the creative parameters stage. This is where you define the creative personality of the AI itself. Instead of every concept following the same predictable approach, Visionary allows you to decide how adventurous, experimental, or commercially practical the generated ideas should become. The first control defines the overall creative direction. You can choose between a conservative and realistic interpretation that focuses on commercially viable, immediately manufacturable concepts. Or you can encourage the AI to explore more avant garde and speculative directions that challenge conventional thinking and push creative boundaries. Neither approach is better. They simply serve different stages of the design process. When developing a product for production, realism may be preferred. During concept exploration, more experimental thinking often leads to unexpected innovation. One of the most powerful features on this screen is the custom aesthetic directive. Here you can provide additional creative instructions that may not have been captured elsewhere in the workflow. Perhaps you'd like the divider to create subtle shadow patterns throughout the day. Perhaps you'd like integrated lighting, sculptural detailing, sustainable construction, or handcrafted joinery. These designer-specific intentions become part of the AI's creative reasoning rather than simply acting as isolated prompt keywords. Next, you'll choose the aspect ratio for the generated concepts. Different formats support different creative objectives. Square compositions are ideal for quick concept comparisons. Portrait formats work beautifully for presentations and social media. Landscape compositions better communicate architectural context and complete room environments. This flexibility allows Visionary to adapt to the way you intend to present your work. You can also determine how many design variations Visionary should generate. Instead of receiving a single solution, you can explore multiple interpretations of the same brief. Each variation follows the creative framework we've established while offering different approaches to proportion, detailing, material composition, and visual expression. This makes concept development significantly faster while preserving creative diversity. And now we're ready. By selecting Synthesize Custom Concept, Visionary combines every decision we've made throughout the workflow. Rather than relying on a single text prompt, the platform analyzes a structured design brief that captures design intent, spatial understanding, material intelligence, color harmony, lighting atmosphere, and creative direction. The result is a collection of concepts that feel thoughtful, cohesive, and aligned with professional design practice. In the next stage, you will see Visionary transform this complete creative framework into original design concepts. Instead of random AI imagery, you'll receive proposals that reflect a deliberate design process ready to be refined, presented, or developed further into production-ready solutions. Now the creative intelligence takes over. This isn't simply rendering images. Visionary is analyzing every parameter we've defined and translating that design brief into multiple original concepts. As the synthesis engine begins its work, every variation is generated sequentially. This approach allows Visionary to evaluate architectural proportions, material relationships, color harmony, lighting behavior, and stylistic consistency independently for each concept. Rather than creating near identical images, the platform explores multiple creative interpretations while remaining aligned with your original vision. Throughout this process, you'll see real-time progress as each concept is completed. There's no need to refresh the page or restart the process. Visionary manages the entire generation sequence automatically. And here are the results. Instead of a single answer, Visionary presents multiple creative directions, each developed from the same design brief but interpreted with its own unique design expression. This is where Visionary truly becomes a creative partner. Every concept you see here has been generated from the same architectural intent, material palette, color story, lighting environment, and stylistic framework. Yet each variation explores a different balance of proportion, composition, detailing, and visual rhythm. Notice how every proposal feels related while still offering meaningful design alternatives. This allows designers to compare ideas, evaluate creative directions, and discuss options with clients before moving into refinement. Think of these as concept sketches produced by an experienced design studio rather than isolated AI images. Your role now shifts from prompting the AI to curating the strongest creative direction. Once you've identified the concept that best aligns with your vision, simply select it to continue into refinement, animation, presentation, or production-ready development. After reviewing multiple design variations, the next step is to choose the concept that best aligns with your creative vision. Design is rarely about finding the perfect solution immediately. It's about recognizing the strongest idea and developing it further. This refinement workspace allows you to do exactly that. Welcome to the Refine Output workspace. Once you've selected a preferred concept, Visionary opens a dedicated refinement environment where you can evolve that design without rebuilding your entire project from the beginning. Everything you've defined throughout the workflow remains available as the creative foundation. On the right, you will see a large preview of your selected concept. This becomes your active design canvas. As you make refinements, every new iteration is generated from this chosen direction while preserving the original design intent. Rather than starting from a blank prompt, Visionary provides structured refinement option. S. You can adjust visual characteristics, explore alternative detailing, improve composition, or guide the AI toward a more refined interpretation. Each refinement builds upon the selected concept rather than replacing it with something completely unrelated. This allows creativity to evolve in a controlled and predictable way. If you have additional ideas after seeing the first results, this is the perfect place to introduce them. Perhaps you'd like the divider to become more sculptural. Perhaps you want finer detailing, softer curves, integrated lighting, different proportions, or an alternative material expression. These instructions help Visionary enhance the selected concept while respecting everything that has already been established. One of the biggest challenges with traditional AI tools is maintaining consistency between iterations. Visionary approaches refinement differently. Instead of generating unrelated alternatives, every refinement remains connected to the original creative brief, ensuring that your design language, materials, proportions, and overall aesthetic continue to evolve together. In professional design practice, the first concept is rarely the final solution. Ideas improve through careful iteration. N. Small adjustments often create dramatic improvements in elegance, functionality, and manufacturability. Visionary mirrors this real-world creative process by allowing designers to refine rather than restart. Over the past few minutes, we've taken a design idea through a structured creative journey. We've defined the brief, built the design language, selected materials, curated colors, established lighting, generated multiple concepts, and refined the strongest direction. Now we arrive at the final stage, transforming a beautiful concept into professional design assets that can actually be used. Welcome to the production studio. This is where Visionary moves beyond concept generation and begins preparing the outputs that designers, manufacturers, architects, and clients actually need. Every asset generated here has a practical purpose within the design process. Let's begin with the orthographic drafting deck. Using advanced AI interpretation, Visionary analyzes the selected concept and generates professional orthographic reference view. S. These include elevations, sectional studies, proportional relationships, and construction references that help communicate design intent far more clearly than a rendered image alone. These outputs are intended to accelerate technical development, manufacturer discussions, and internal design reviews. They're conceptual drafting references that bridge the gap between visualization and production. Professional design is about more than aesthetics. Every concept also needs to be evaluated from a manufacturing perspective. The manufacturing feasibility scan examines the generated design and identifies potential considerations relating to fabrication, construction complexity, material suitability, structural logic, and production workflows. Rather than replacing engineering expertise, it provides an intelligent early-stage assessment that helps designers identify opportunities before moving into detailed development. The most amazing part of the Visionary journey has arrived in the form of visualization videos in different ambiances that it can create as per your creative vision. Notice the detailing of light interaction with materials, close-ups of textures, and a great cinematic appeal for your client presentations, guaranteed to blow their mind away. So you see, the possibilities with Visionary are endless and are only limited by your imagination. Therefore, join us today and give wings to your dreams. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Get in touch with us at info@vishalkapurstudio.com.